Okay. Three, two, one. Hello,
Zero.
basketball fans, and what did you say? What did you say? Zero?
Zero.
Ba yan? Blooper eh, no? Ah, tuloy. Okay.
Go.
Three,
Please.
three, two, one. Hello, basketball fans, and welcome to episode 57 of the Half Court Heave podcast. I am Isaiah, your host, and joined as always by Juno. Hello,
Ulit
Juno.
58, 58, 58.
58? Oh my gosh, I even got the episode number wrong. And we welcome back.
Again.
Oh, okay, fine. Blooper number
Uh,
two. Three, two, one.
Watching too much bloopers.
Oh, hey. Blooper on a blooper. Three, two, one. Hello, basketball fans, and welcome to episode 58 of the Half Court Heave podcast. I'm Isaiah, your host, and I'm all joined as always by Juno, and we welcome back Vico. Hello, guys.
Hello.
This is like our
Hello.
third attempt at starting a recording, and
Hello. Yeah.
I don't think it's going very well, but we're gonna keep going. So
Stop laughing.
I just finished cooking adobo.
Wow.
Look, I don't
How
know.
was it?
It was good, and I did it because I was watching adobo recipes, and one particular video used a bit of the intro that we have for our show, as in the music that we use for our show. It was in that video, and of course, we got this music from GarageBand. It's one of the samples that they have there, so that's why I was inspired to cook adobo.
And how did it taste good?
Well, I like eating it. I don't like eating it like newly cooked. I like it a few hours old because then the meat starts to absorb the soy sauce and the vinegar and all that stuff.
You know what? It's 11 in the evening here, so you're
It's
making me hungry.
it's 8 in the morning here, so too bad for you guys.
Yes. Anyway.
Now, this has been a very interesting week in basketball, to say the least. Personally, as a Lakers fan, it would have been the greatest week ever for me personally. Donald Sterling's finally out of LA. Mike D'Antoni's gone. Dwight Howard's eliminated from the playoffs. If only the Clippers lost Game 7. This would have
If
been the
only.
best weeks for me as a Lakers fan.
If only.
If only, but
It
it
was
didn't
tight.
happen. What?
The game was very tight, so it could have gone either. I was hoping Golden State should have like won that game, but things happen.
Well, let's talk about Clippers and Warriors. It was you have to give the Warriors a lot of credit. First of all, they were undermanned. They didn't have Bogut for most of the series. The Clippers have a dominating front line, and yet Golden State was able to hold their own for the most part, forcing the series to 7 games. But in the end, the the Clippers were just too much.
Clippers had so much depth against, you know, Golden State. I think Golden State was able to uh, keep in step because of just mainly because of their shooting. But in Game 7, since they lost, the size and the athleticism of Blake and DeAndre obviously got the best of them. But they'll be back. I hope somehow Bogut gets healthy, or for during the offseason they can get another big man, because I don't think Jermaine is that reliable anymore right now. I
He's a
think they
fossil,
need
is what he is.
they need some they need a defensive big man off the bench that can shoulder the defense, because I think Bogut isn't really a reliable defensive player, and same goes for Jermaine. And usually Golden State plays a lot of small ball with Draymond Green, David Lee, since Bogut is injured, so they don't really have anyone who can stop the dribble penetration. So it's really difficult for them to counter teams who have those kinds of players like Blake, DeAndre. So even if Golden State would have advanced, they would have a difficult time against teams like San Antonio or Dallas, since they boast very good big men.
Vico.
Yeah, I'm watching the replay right now, and it's really hard to beat a Clipper team that has Blake Griffin doing backflips. I don't think it can be done.
When that shot went in,
Yes.
I didn't know how to react anymore. I just like, "Yeah, wow." That's all I said.
Yeah, he just dominated. I don't know, you could say, I guess, it's lucky or whatever, but the fact is he's huge, he's too strong, and the Warriors don't have anyone to stop a big dominant force down low.
That and you have a fact that add to the fact that DeAndre Jordan has improved greatly this season. 15 and 18 in a game
Yeah, he was,
seven.
yeah.
You can't ask any more than that. And what what irritated me particularly about what the Warriors did defensively, and my earphones just dropped. What the Warriors did defensively was there were moments where they just didn't stop the ball. I think there was a play where I forget who it was, but Iguodala just let someone waltz into the paint for an open layup.
Mhm.
And there was a play particularly towards the end where it was a one possession game. The Warriors cut it to three with 30 seconds left, and I tweeted out that Warriors still have time for a stop. They don't need to foul. And like 10 seconds later, they're throwing a lob to the rim for DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, it was Blake Griffin just
Oh yeah,
dribbling down the lane.
yeah. You can't
Just
win game
basically,
sevens like that.
yeah, you can't. He
It
was just
just
walking down the lane, throwing DeAndre Jordan an alley-oop.
did
And it
you
was a
just
clutch play too.
did
It
you just
wasn't
make
the second quarter play.
did you just make a walking down the lane reference?
Yes, I did.
Caught that. But yeah, again, it's late in the fourth quarter, and you can't have plays like that going on. Maybe it would be, I don't know if acceptable is the word, but happening in the second quarter, fine. Fourth quarter, no.
Yeah,
Now,
and down by three too.
yeah, one possession game, you can't be giving up lobs to the rim. I mean, that's just a no-no. But do you know you said Golden State will be back. The question is, will they be back with Mark Jackson?
I hope so. I really believe that Mark Jackson is a legit coach. They just need the talent to be able to complement Steph and Clay because they play a similar style like a Dallas or no, I mean an Orlando Magic back in the 2009 season wherein they had so many shooters and a big man who can
Wait,
rebound the
who are you
ball.
talking about?
Orlando when they had
No, no.
Dwight.
Who are you comparing with that Orlando team
Golden
to?
State, Golden State.
Golden
They have a
State.
sim.
Golden State doesn't have a Dwight Howard
Yeah,
who you can just
that's the thing.
surround with
That's
shooters.
the thing. That's
David
the thing.
Lee.
I don't think
David
Mark
Lee.
Jackson. I don't think Mark Jackson had the privilege of having that guy who can crowd the paint, who can rebound the ball off the misses of the shots of Steph and Clay. So they don't have that luxury. So if you give him that kind of player in the offseason and they acquire that player, I think Mark Jackson can be successful and can be better. I think they should stick with Mark Jackson for one more
You
season,
don't think
probably.
he's going to be fired?
I
Yeah, you
don't
don't
think
think he's
so.
gonna be fired? All signs point to him getting fired or
Aren't you
resigning,
the
or
coaches should be
however they're gonna
fired
spin
guy?
it. Yeah, June,
He
aren't you
didn't.
the coaches be fired guy?
He
You'd
didn't. He
rather
didn't.
have
He
wait.
didn't
uh,
have a healthy roster. Like he didn't have Bogut anyway. So imagine if he had Bogut. I think it would have been better or like a different series.
wait. So you'd rather, instead of firing Mark Jackson this offseason, you'd rather have him come back one more year, be a lame duck coach, know that he's gone after next year, and you think the players are going to respond to him?
I wanna give him a chance. Like I wanna give him a chance to have like a healthy Bogut, which is
Which is
easier
a
said than
lot to
done.
ask for.
Yeah, easier said than done because Bogut is really injury prone. So if they can acquire someone like whoever is gonna be available
Well,
next
fine.
year,
Who do you want them to acquire? That's so hypothetical. Some player
someone
who can.
Like a Scola or
Luis
well,
Scola? You're gonna compare Luis Scola to Dwight Howard's position in Orlando in 2009?
Not really, but someone who can just rebound the ball and can defend the paint.
Who? That's the thing.
David Lee can't
Who?
do that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously he can't, but who?
I don't know, but somehow they can somehow get someone. I don't know.
Somehow gets who?
Somehow get someone.
Let's see. But that's what I can see from.
Do you want them to do a trade or free agency?
Yeah, probably trade can be a realistic option for them. They can somehow trade some pieces because problem with Golden State this year is that Harrison Barnes completely disappeared during this. Actually, for a long time, he has disappeared. He has not performed the way he was expected to, as compared last year, wherein Harrison Barnes was really a go-to guy. I think the arrival of Andre Iguodala really affected Harrison Barnes. So that's another factor. I don't think Harrison
You know what?
Barnes.
You mentioned that with Harrison Barnes and Iguodala. Okay, fine, you can say that, but then look at what Draymond Green did in Game 7. 24 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 5 of 8 from 3, 9 of 13 from the field overall. I'd rather, at this point right now, I'd rather give that money to Draymond Green instead of Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, so they can trade Harrison Barnes to a team who needs his shooting, and they can get someone who can give them the rebounding and defensive presence that they really need, because that's something they don't have at this point, which is killing them like with matchups against the Clippers or any other team who boasts that kind of big man.
Now, looking ahead to the Clippers matchup against Oklahoma City, first question is, who do you think, or how should they stop Kevin Durant?
The Clippers, the thing is with the Clippers, they have so many weapons. They're very athletic, very long. So I don't think they're going to have that much problem defending Kevin Durant. They have Matt Barnes, they have Danny Granger, but Danny Granger is not really a defensive.
So why did you name Danny Granger?
He's still lengthy. He can still cover some ground, but he can somehow bother Kevin Durant. But primarily I think Matt Barnes can defend him. Matt Barnes has the length to and the quickness to stay in front of Kevin Durant. And even though Kevin Durant can blow past Matt Barnes, they still have DeAndre Jordan there, which I think DeAndre Jordan will be the key factor, because if they match up DeAndre Jordan versus Kendrick Perkins or Ibaka, I think he has so much advantage.
I don't
And
think Kendrick Perkins is going to be guarding DeAndre Jordan. That's gonna be a one-sided affair.
it's gonna be interesting because Doc Rivers is gonna. Doc Rivers, the fact that he's gonna be coaching is gonna be really big deal, especially since their ego must be at an all-time high, knowing that
Whose ego?
they
Why are you
got
talking about egos?
Clippers.
Why don't you
They're-
say confidence or something?
Okay, the right word is confidence.
What's wrong
The
with
Clippers
Okay.
don't have anyone to guard Kevin Durant. I mean, Matt Barnes, yeah, he's lengthy, but he's not gonna do a job as good as even Tony Allen. Tony Allen did a great job in the Memphis series. I don't think anyone can stop him from the Clippers.
Here's what I think. I agree with you, Vico. I wholeheartedly disagree with you, Juno. First of all, to stop Kevin Durant or someone like Kevin Durant, you need a game plan, much like what Memphis had. You need an entire team dedicated to defense,
That's
willing
right.
to grit and grind and play physical. I don't think the Clippers are that team. I don't think they have that kind of defensive mentality. Sure, you have Chris Paul and his steals, you have DeAndre Jordan and his blocks, but that's different from actually having a dedicated game plan meant
Like
to,
Memphis.
like what Memphis has, like what Chicago
Yeah.
has.
Do you
That's
believe?
not something I think the Clippers have. That's why I agree.
Yeah.
No one is going to be able to stop Durant.
Yeah, I
No.
agree with you, Isaiah, but I think the Clippers do have a chance if they're able to, like what you said, have a good defensive game plan, specifically to stop Kevin Durant or limit him. But they can funnel the ball to, I mean, they can funnel Kevin Durant towards DeAndre Jordan. That's probably their best shot at stopping him.
Yeah, but then that's going to take an entire effort because I believe he can just blow past Matt Barnes, no problem.
Yeah.
Matt Barnes is not going to do any funneling, whether to the baseline, to the sideline, or to DeAndre Jordan.
I don't think they're gonna have so much weapons. Like I think if they can stop Westbrook, I think that's gonna be a big factor.
Westbrook is the more, how do I
Easier
say it?
matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be easier to stop Westbrook than to stop Kevin Durant. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's
They have the quickness. They have Darren Collison and Chris Paul to stay in front of that guy. So I don't think he's gonna do as much damage as he did to Memphis because they also have Redick. Redick's pretty good on the defensive end.
Okay, I'm just totally lost in what you said. But
but I think
you
the key in with Memphis and Clippers is going to be the tempo of the game and the battle of the point guards, Westbrook versus Chris Paul. Who's going to be able to set the tempo? And I think Chris Paul will be the one to set the tempo in the series, not Westbrook.
Well, you see the difference in styles between the Clippers and when they played the Warriors. When the Clippers made it a half-court game, that's when Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan were able to dominate down low. When it became an
Yeah.
open court game, that's when the Warriors thrived. With this series, I actually don't know what kind of style is going to prevail because I don't really know what OKC's offense is aside from giving the ball to Durant and Westbrook and let them do their thing.
They don't have a I don't know. Their offense is a mess when I look at it.
Exactly.
Yeah, they give Durant a bunch of off-ball screens and Westbrook with ISOs and pick and rolls. Durant too, but nothing really organized.
Nothing
It's just
organized,
give
nothing
them the ball
definite.
and get out of the
Exactly.
way.
Exactly. That's why I actually give the point guard advantage to Chris Paul, like you said, more than Russell Westbrook because I think it's gonna be a tempo controlled by him, and if this turns into a game where DeAndre Jordan puts up numbers like he did in Game 7, OKC's gonna have a hard time because aside from Ibaka, they don't really have a big man who can guard them because I don't think
Hmm.
Perkins is gonna do I don't think he's gonna stay on the floor all that long unless he and DeAndre
Yeah.
Jordan decide to fight. But going back to the Game 7 though against the Memphis Grizzlies, OKC won 120 to 109. What was huge in that game is that Zach Randolph was suspended. First of all, do you
That's
think he
true.
should have been suspended?
Yes, I think he should have really been suspended, knowing that he really lost his cool in Game 6, and when he threw that punch, it's really a mental breakdown on his part, knowing that it's really critical for him to stay on the floor and to not get himself suspended. So it was really a very big mistake, but a mistake that you can't go back and redo. So it's a big loss knowing that he didn't play. So it really cost him during that Game 7. It could have been a very different game if he did play. It could have been much closer. The rebound numbers would have been a lot closer. But it is what it is. So if he had played, they could have won. But Oklahoma was able to pull it out.
Yeah.
Well, not taking away anything from Durant and Westbrook. Westbrook had a triple double and actually shot 10 of 16.
Video game numbers, really, with
Video
Durant.
game numbers for both of them, yeah.
Yeah, like it's crazy. I don't know. Just making tough shot after tough shot, and it seems like if he shoots jumpers, it's like automatic already. I don't really. It's really if you give him just a little bit of space, he's gonna make it, and it's really so tough to watch, especially if you're rooting against Oklahoma City.
Well, just off the top of your head now, who do you predict will win this series between the Thunder and the Clippers?
I give it right now. I give the Clippers the advantage. I see them winning probably in seven, the full 7 games. It's gonna go down to the wire like how it did with the Warriors. So Clippers in 7.
Vico.
Well, I'm going with the Thunder. I
Wow.
just, yeah, I don't see them stopping Kevin Durant. As long as Westbrook gets Durant the ball, the Thunder are gonna win. But the question is if Durant will get enough touches.
Well, here, I actually am going with the Thunder because I think Kevin Durant is gonna have a field day because I don't think he's gonna have a tougher matchup with Harrison Barnes compared to what happened with against Tony Allen. Because compared to
Yeah,
what Tony Allen was doing, Harrison Barnes is compared to what he experienced against Tony Allen. Matt Barnes won't be playing any defense. This is because
yeah,
the
I
way
agree with you there.
the way Tony Allen played him was absolutely perfect. But with regard to Durant's touches, it also depends whether Durant fights for the ball. Because there are times Westbrook is isolating and Durant's in the corner. And that's what really, really frustrates me about Durant whenever Westbrook decides to be Russell Westbrook, if you
Yeah,
can
he
say that.
just lets him.
He just lets him, exactly. As the star, Durant has do something. Establish position, put yourself in a better position to get the ball. That's what's frustrating. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
no, yeah, as long as Durant gets the ball somehow, some way, he's gonna put the ball in the hoop, no problem.
No doubt.
That's right.
Now on
The
to
the matchup no, before you continue, do you know the matchups are really gonna be critical. DeAndre versus Kendrick, you obviously have to give the advantage to DeAndre. Blake versus Ibaka, you give the advantage to Blake. Or that could be argued, but I think Blake has the advantage. Durant versus Barnes, obviously Durant. Red, who's starting shooting guard for Oklahoma? It's Cephalosha, right?
Cephalosha.
Yeah, if you look at Redick versus Cephalosha, it's gonna be even, and Westbrook versus Paul is gonna be even as well. So it's really the big guys are really gonna be the critical part of whether the Thunder or the Clippers are able to pull it out. So Durant obviously is gonna dominate. He's gonna get his points. He's gonna score the basket. But the big question is whether Ibaka can counter Blake or Perkins can stay on the floor against DeAndre. So that's gonna be very big coming down to this series.
My computer just went haywire for a moment, so I don't know if I'm delayed or not. But moving on to Pacers and Hawks. Pacers won in 7. They dominated the last 3 games. Roy Hibbert finally showed up in Game 7. But are you still confident in the Pacers now as you were before the series started, as they go and face the Wizards next?
I think the Pacers are still legitimate. The something that Atlanta was able to expose with the Pacers is that they have a difficult time defending the 3-point shot, especially if your big man shoots 3-pointers. With Atlanta, they had Pero Antic. Antic can spread the floor, which takes away Hibbert from crowding the paint, which allows Steve to drive to the basket. And it really killed Indiana during their matchup. So going into the next round where they're going to be facing guys like Gortat and Nene and Trevor Booker, I think Hibbert can finally play inside and can crowd the paint like he used to do, and he can dominate the ball. It will all depend on how Washington will match up against Hibbert. It will depend on how Randy Whitman will put Gortat, because Gortat can obviously shoot the jumper and can spread the floor not like Antich, but he can shoot the ball. So I think it's gonna be easier for Hibbert come the Washington series. I think he's gonna get his stats like better than how he did with Atlanta. But yeah, I see Indiana finally getting their groove on, and they can I see them beating Washington also in a very tight matchup.
Now, Vic, are you there?
Yeah, sorry. Hey.
Uh, Now, going to the Wizards side though. Do you think Washington matches up well with Indiana, just personnel wise?
Yes, definitely. They really remind me of an old school Denver Nuggets when after they traded Carmelo Anthony to New York. They have who John Wall.
Is it because they have Andre Miller and Nene?
Yeah, you can say that, but not exactly in that perspective.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah,
The
lengthy.
same people.
Exactly. That's why I thought that's what he was talking
No,
about.
no, 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 no. That's yeah. You can say that, but
Oh
not
my goodness.
exactly that. They have who? They have Trevor Ariza. They have who? Booker, Gortat. They're very. They have all. They have a talented starting five. So you can say that everyone on that starting five can get their shot. It can be argued that Booker might not, but Beal, Wall, Ariza, Gortat, all of those guys can get their shot and get their points. So I think they're gonna match up well against Indiana, but I think Wall and Beal will have a tougher time against Hibbert this time around compared to how they matched up with Noah. Because Noah's the only guy who can crowd the
Mhm.
paint. Boozer wasn't really reliable on those dribble penetrations, and Taj Gibson was good, but he's not Roy Hibbert, and I think it's gonna be really close.
The thing is, if you compare, you're saying they'll have a harder time against the Pacers, or is that what you said?
Yeah, they're gonna have a harder time against the
Yeah,
Pacers
he's saying
because,
Washington's gonna have a harder time against the Pacers.
Oh, okay,
but
but
it's still gonna be
I think
close.
Noah is a better defensive player than Hibbert is. I don't know, but I don't think so.
I think so too, because he was Defensive Player of the Year. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll have a if you know if we're talking about interior defense from the Pacers. I think the Bulls might. I don't know. Well, it depends. First of all, if Hibbert decides to play, uh, he usually doesn't.
Yeah. The
yes,
thing is with
yeah,
Hibbert
he
is
disappeared in the playoffs.
he's the defensive player of the year, but Hibbert is a 7'2" guy who can is really really big. So I
Yeah,
think
he's big and he grabs
Is
like 5 to
is
6
he the
rebounds a
tallest
game.
active player,
I would think
or
so.
one?
One
I
of
think
them.
he is. I'm not sure. If he's
Uh,
not the tallest, he's probably the second.
yeah, because I don't know
But
anyone who's 7'3", so he
and
might be
getting
the
less than
tallest.
five rebounds.
Exactly.
I don't know. I
That's
don't
what
know how he does that. It must
he
take a lot of effort to avoid the ball defensively when a shot misses.
well
How does he
to
do
his
it?
to his credit, in his defense, Atlanta took a lot of jump shots, which led to long rebounds, which I think is
Well,
also going to
that's
be,
true.
which is also think is going to be a way for Washington to beat Indiana by their 3-point game. For some reason, Trevor Ariza has turned into a shooter, which I can't believe. You have Bradley Beal there, and if Washington decides to go with a more space the floor 3-point style of game, it's also going to neutralize Roy Hibbert again. And
Yeah.
and like Nene is no slouch down low. He's very physical. Maybe that's why he gets injured all the time. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Indiana is the sure shot they were before the playoffs started. And right now, going against a team like Washington, okay, on paper you can say, oh, it's Indiana and Washington, but that's what everyone said before Indiana and Atlanta. No one really paid attention to
That's
that
true.
series. Then Atlanta shocked the world and basically rendered Roy Hibbert useless. But it remains to be seen whether Washington is going to have that same type of effectiveness against Indiana that Atlanta had.
would you be shocked if for somehow some way Washington can upset Indiana like they
Will I
can
be
win
will
in
I will
five?
I be shocked? No.
Yeah.
The way the Pacers have played towards the end and in these playoffs, no, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be very disappointed though.
Yeah.
There's gonna be if Indiana loses, Miami makes the finals automatic.
Oh yeah, Miami's not going to beat Washington. Now there are more Game Sevens going to be played today, if you can believe that. Dallas and
2
San
hours.
Antonio. Yeah. Exactly. The games are so early. That's why I'm not really doing a preview on those games. There's so much compared to like a preview for the future. But we have Brooklyn and Toronto, and Dallas and San Antonio. I think Brooklyn is the 3-6 matchup. Dallas and San Antonio is the 1-8. First, Brooklyn and Toronto. How do they match? How do each team match up against Miami?
It's interesting. If Miami, like if they match up against Brooklyn, obviously.
Like lay out for me scenarios saying like if each one won or something.
Okay. If Brooklyn wins today, it's gonna be Paul Pierce against LeBron all over again. It's gonna be the Boston Celtics guys against LeBron. And during the regular season,
In
Miami
different
got
uniforms,
swept.
right?
Miami got swept by Brooklyn, right? 4-0.
Yep.
But everything changes in the playoffs, and if they do match up, I still see Miami getting the better of Brooklyn, but it's not going to be as easy as they did with Charlotte, but I still see Miami winning it just because of LeBron James. Something that you can never, for somehow, argue against. LeBron is LeBron. I think he's still going to dominate because, they don't have any other guy who can stay in front of LeBron. Pierce can. I think Pierce can defend LeBron, but he's not the
Probably
same
not.
guy who the same guy who tormented LeBron during 2000 the Cleveland days. And Garnett is not obviously not the same guy, so it speaks a lot. The bench is the one that interests me a lot because Brooklyn's bench is very deep. They have Plumlee, Blatch, Allen Anderson. They have so many guys off the bench that can counter Miami's depth. So in terms of I think the bench really is the key factor for that series. If Brooklyn advances, the bench matchup against Miami, I think Brooklyn has the advantage. So if you look at it from that end, it's going to be really critical whether or not Brooklyn bench decides to come out and finally perform whenever the starters take a rest, because I think that's the advantage that Miami has over a lot of teams. When LeBron, Bosh, or Wade decide to sit down, their bench is really very deep and they can still carry the offensive load. Brooklyn seems to have the key matchup against Miami, knowing that they have guys who can put the ball in the basket. So it's gonna be what Brooklyn can do and the bench can do against them.
Vico, what do you think of Brooklyn and Miami if Brooklyn advances?
I don't think Brooklyn has a chance. No, they're just too slow and old. I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
That's exactly true. And my point here is Brooklyn swept Miami in the regular season, and the playoffs are different not because Miami has LeBron James and all that stuff. Not only that, it's also because Miami is rested. Brooklyn and Toronto are fighting Game 7 today, with Game 1 probably 2 days from now. Brooklyn could have used the rest that Miami has. Because Brooklyn, as you said, they're the much older, much slower team. And going up against, now you bring in the LeBron James factor. You bring in LeBron James, who is just this physical specimen on the court, against a tired Brooklyn team. Brooklyn has no chance. And because it doesn't take one person to stop a player like LeBron James, you have to have a whole team effort again, which they had in the regular season. If you're tired from a 7-game series against the Toronto Raptors, then you're not winning the series.
Will rust be a factor for Miami, knowing that they have so much rest?
Maybe
Because
to
I think
start. Maybe to start. To start, Miami may be rusty, and Brooklyn may have a good first quarter or first half. But once they get focused, once they get back into their rhythm and all that stuff, Miami's just gonna run away with this.
that's if Brooklyn advances. You think Toronto is a better matchup for Miami? I think
Well,
I think yes.
Toronto's definitely younger, but I don't think that's fine. Let's say they physically, they probably can be up to par and may like steal a game or two in against Miami, but I don't think Toronto is has the discipline, has enough discipline to keep up with the execution of Miami late in
Yeah, I agree
games.
with you.
Say it's a close game late, Miami will be more inclined to execute better in the clutch than Toronto is. So
That's
regardless,
true.
Miami's going to win and go to the conference finals.
Yeah, neither of the teams have a chance.
Yeah. Now, the other series, obviously, we just Portland is in the semifinals after thrilling Game Six where Damian Lillard just owned the Houston Rockets uh, in six
Did you see the
games.
news? Did you see the news about the Wikipedia of Houston?
Oh
They
yeah, I just saw it. Houston's Wikipedia, someone edited it where you know how Wikipedia has a little sidebar showing the team logo, where they are, and the facts.
Hmm.
Houston
yeah.
Rockets, Conference Western, Division Southwest, founded 1967. History: San Diego Rockets from 1967 to 1971, Houston Rockets from 1971 to present. Arena Toyota Center, City Houston, Texas. Team colors red, silver, white. Owners Damian Lillard. That's very clever. I'm sure like someone edited back to the real owner, but that was pretty funny. But Portland, the surprise of the season, I should say. Like, I didn't really expect Portland to be the revelation they were in the regular season, and much less eliminate the Houston Rockets in such a thrilling way. But
With Dwight Howard.
with Dwight Howard, who left $30 million on the table to go to a team only to be eliminated in the first round again. But moving on to the semifinals against either Dallas or San Antonio, with a young Portland team going up against two veteran teams potentially, who has the upper hand against Portland if they were to match up?
San Antonio has the advantage against Portland. If San Antonio, I'm seeing San Antonio winning later today. I think they're gonna win Game 7 and they're gonna match up against Portland. If Portland and San Antonio match up, I think San Antonio will obviously win that game because they're a veteran team. They know how to counter Lillard and Aldridge. I think they can beat those guys, and I see San Antonio winning that in 6. The only way for Portland to beat um, San Antonio is whether Aldridge can replicate his monster stats in games 1 and 2 against Houston, wherein he averaged 41 points and 14. I was just about to say 44, 14 rebounds. So if Aldridge can do that again and Lillard can remain hot, I see Portland somehow um, beating San Antonio, but I still don't see them winning the series just because it's the San Antonio Spurs who I think is really primed and ready to make a splash and to get back to the NBA Finals if they can get past the team that I'm seeing um, making it all the way, the Clippers. So if San Antonio matches up, I see San Antonio winning. If Dallas, though, wins later and matches up with Portland, I see Portland moving on because Dallas is really old for me. They're very
The
old.
Spurs aren't young either, though.
Yeah, they're old, but Spurs are smart old.
What?
The
And
smart
as compared to
old.
Dallas,
So Dallas is dumb old?
Dumbo. Oh my goodness, getting
Vico, what's your
Uh,
take?
I don't agree with Juno's reasoning, but I do agree with the outcomes that he predicted.
Smart
Spurs
old.
versus Portland. I think Spurs just execute too well, and I don't see Portland beating the Spurs. But Dallas versus Portland, I think Portland has what it takes. Yeah, I think they match up well. Unless Nowitzki goes back 10 years or something, I don't know. But for the Spurs Blazers, I think Spurs match up pretty well. Parker on Lillard and then Duncan and Aldridge. So
But
I
don't
think
forget.
I see the Spurs going all the way to the finals.
That's because the Spurs are smart old. That's the real reason why they're
They're not dumb
Smart
old.
old.
They're
smart old. It's not dumb old.
dumb
Dumb old
old.
for like
Oh my
guys
goodness.
like like not Vince Carter, like
What,
Devin
what,
Harris.
what are you talking about? First of all, Devin Harris is not old.
He is. He's 30, what, 31?
That's
That's
old.
already old.
He's basically in his prime. What
Yeah, that's
old are you
still the
talking about?
prime. Old is like 34, 35. That's old.
So you got Vince Carter and who's old.
He just said not Vince Carter.
You just said not meant to be exactly.
He is. Okay, okay.
Well, Juno, just to your point, I'm surprised you didn't pick Portland against the Spurs either, because you like to make comparisons about how situations remind you of something in the past. You don't think this Portland Trailblazer team reminds you of the 2011 Dallas Mavericks?
You read my mind. You read my mind pretty good, pretty well.
I didn't read your mind. I
You,
already
you,
know. I
you,
already
you,
know
you,
what you were
you,
gonna
you,
say.
you knew. You knew that I was gonna say that though.
Exactly. So, what you don't think
Yeah.
you're not making that statement?
No, I
Go.
think the Clippers are the 2011 Dallas Mavericks. Just because they're very deep in all positions. Portland reminds
Clippers?
me of Golden State
Yes,
last
he
year. Yeah,
said.
Clippers are like Dallas. They're good. They're deep. Like, they have DeAndre Jordan. They
How
have
are they deep
they
in
have,
the big guy position?
they have
I don't consider Glenn Davis deep, mind you.
I don't think I
I
don't think
think
they're big in the center power forward.
no, like forwards, guards.
You mean complete?
Yeah, they're very complete.
Yeah,
That's
not deep.
how
Complete
Complete.
is different from being
wasn't
deep.
wasn't wasn't that like how Dallas was assembled in 2011, wherein they had Peja and all those guys off the bench who can like Barea and they 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 assembled that team the way that they have a complete team, and the Clippers do have that team to boast. So that's really the advantage, and that's why I see them being comparable to the 2011 Dallas Mavericks. With Portland, though, they remind me of Golden State last year. You didn't expect them to make it, but they did. But they're gonna fall. They're gonna fall against San Antonio, definitely, if the Spurs win later. I don't see. I just don't see them beating the Spurs. I may be wrong, but I don't. I see Aldridge being neutralized by Splitter and Duncan because they're just that good, and Tim Duncan is Tim Duncan. Aldridge gets compared a lot to Duncan. They say that Aldridge is the best power forward right now in the game,
I have
and
never
I
heard
think
that.
I did. I think he's the best power forward right now. Like
To say like right
people,
now, I've never heard that.
yeah, I've read a lot of articles saying that Aldridge right now is the most reliable and the best power forward, like shooting power forward who can. He is the current generation. Like he is compared to Tim Duncan a lot because
Yes, you mentioned that.
yeah, that's my point. He is that good, but Duncan is just a step better than him, and
Oh,
Spurs
okay.
are winning that game.
All right. Last thing, let's more get in depth more. Let's talk more in depth about this. Something I know you were very happy about, Juna. Mike D'Antoni resigned as head coach of the
Yes.
Lakers. But
Yes.
do you think he really resigned?
I think, to be honest, I think he was pressured because of all the publicity and all the fan pressure that he was receiving, the fact that the Lakers couldn't guarantee his his future after his option. So there wasn't really a job stability on that point. So at that point, so he had to really step down, and there wasn't any logical reason for him to stay anyway. Knowing people can argue that he didn't have the best roster to work with this season, and Mitch Kupchak, to his credit, said that he didn't see any coach who could have led this team to a better record than how Mike D'Antoni was able to do with the Lakers this year. But I think the pressure of knowing, the pressure of not having the support of Pau Gasol and Kobe Bryant really affected Mike D'Antoni's decision to stay with the Lakers. So that ultimately had him leaving. So I really believe he did resign to just because of all the drama that was happening, and I think it was really the best decision at this point.
Yeah, and the point is whether or not he really resigned or he was forced into resigning. The point is he wouldn't have been there next season. If he didn't resign, he would have been fired, whatever. So he's gone.
I don't think they. I believe. I don't think they would have fired him just because people would have said the Lakers would be paying two coaches, Mike Brown and Mike D'Antoni. So I think that would be a
Weren't you
big
trying to
blow to
fire
them.
him in 2K?
Yeah, you're just trying
Yeah,
to fire him. So
I
where's
couldn't. I
the
couldn't. I couldn't. That's the thing. Lakers, they were saying
Hmm.
that I needed like $1,050 to million to be able to
what?
fire him. But to my point, I don't think the Lakers would have fired him. I think they would have given him another year. Yeah.
No, I think he was forced out, and they're just spinning it in a way where he resigned. You said so many things towards the end there that I didn't know what you were talking about. But yeah, he obviously didn't have command of the team. Kobe, short of like basically admitting that he didn't want to play for him, he yeah, Kobe didn't have his back. Pau didn't have his back. If D'Antoni stayed, I don't think Pau Gasol would have returned. And he defending D'Antoni a little bit. It was not his system that failed. It was the way he coached the team. You don't come in and like first day on the job, bench Pau Gasol, and you say your reason is you want to win the game. That and
Hmm.
your sarcastic remarks to the media, joking and all that stuff. That's not really how you're supposed to coach a team, and that's why I don't think the Lakers had his respect. Because if you look at Kobe Bryant before uh, everything started to become a disaster, he actually was happy that Mike D'Antoni was the coach, having played for him in Team USA and all that stuff. But then the relationship deteriorated pretty quickly, and more than likely that's why I think uh, I think the Lakers didn't want to bring him back because they were honestly considering bringing him back, and I think there was already a report by someone that said the Lakers like retained him already. But to have him for a second year and to have him for a second year after next year was a bit too much. And the Lakers obviously weren't going to give him that option, and that's why they're still paying him to leave. They kind of worked out a deal where he gets portion of his $4 million salary owed next season, and for him to leave. So you're both just staring at the computer.
I was waiting for you to ask me who is potentially going to be the next head coach for the Lakers.
It's not Steve Kerr. Well,
It is.
here's the thing. The Lakers aren't a startup job. They're not a job where a coach comes in and tries things out for a little bit to see if his system works. So someone like maybe Fisher, Kidd, or someone like with the Jason Kidd situation, I don't think that's the right place. I don't think that's the direction the Lakers should be moving toward because the fans are very impatient. They don't want another
Mark
rebuild.
Jackson.
Mark Jackson, he's going to be interesting. Because I definitely think he's gone in Golden State. I just read right now on Bleacher Report that he has no allies in the front office, and so the relationship is not there. With Mark Jackson, it depends. It depends on whether he has the full respect of everyone, especially Kobe's. I'm sure Kobe will be fine with Mark Jackson, but then does he really have command of the team? Because he doesn't have that Warriors group, the group of players who trust him. He's going to have a whole new team, and he's going to have to rebuild that kind of system that he built in Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be rosy at first, but
Mm-hmm.
eventually maybe he might be able to. So he's a possibility. I like Lionel Hollins, although, like I mentioned in my the post on our website, I don't think it's gonna be a very Laker move. First of all, he's a defensive-minded coach, nitty-gritty coach. So that's not the way the Lakers play. He'd probably end Kobe Bryant's career if the team plays that physically. And again, it also depends who the Lakers get as players, because right now they only have Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, and Robert Sacre under contract. And maybe if they build a team of hard-nosed players, Lionel Hollins would be a great fit.
Tom Thibodeau.
Tom Thibodeau, the same way. Depends if the Bulls give the Lakers permission to talk to him, but Lakers are definitely interested in him. With the Van Gundys, I don't exactly know with the Van Gundys. Maybe I'd like Jeff more than Stan because at least
Yeah.
Jeff was able to handle the egos in New York and Houston for a while Stan Van Gundy just had no control of whatever situation he was in. He let Pat Riley push him out of Miami, and then he with Dwight Howard. That was a relationship that was. I don't really know whether they had a bad relationship or whether. Well, I don't know how to put it because Dwight, for some reason, is saying good things about Stan Van Gundy, but I don't think they have the best relationship. That's why, for the Lakers, with all the, especially Kobe's ego, with him and all the personalities there, say they keep Pau. I think Jeff Van Gundy would be a better fit.
But Jeff Van Gundy's an offensive coach. Wouldn't that be an issue?
Wait, what?
I think
Jeff Van Gundy is an offensive coach?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
No, he's not.
He is. Look
he's
at the
not.
Look at his New York Knicks teams with Patrick Ewing.
They were.
They really
Hello?
play very offensive. I think Isaiah's experiencing technical difficulties. I can't hear him.
Well,
What-
if he's
what
an
did you say?
offensive coach, that's fine.
There,
Kobe
I
can't
can
play
hear.
defense anyway.
I can hear him now. What were you saying, Isaiah?
Wait, what? Yeah, I got something happened. What did you say? I totally missed what you said.
I said Jeff Van Gundy's an offensive coach. If you look at his New York Knicks teams during the Patrick Ewing days, his teams played very good offensively, but defense not. He's not, I don't say like he's not known for his defense. I think that's the better term for it. I'm not saying. I made a mistake saying that he was a defensive coach. He is a coach who's not really known for his defense. So that's something I'm pretty keen on looking in terms of Jeff Van Gundy's resume. coming into the Lakers, because what I want for the Lakers is a defensive coach who can provide them with that kind of voice in the team. You talk Mike Brown, who was a defensive coach, but he didn't have the same respect, the same resume as a Jeff Van Gundy. So if Jeff Van Gundy somehow gets hired, then it'll be good, since he is a very well known coach. But the thing is, he's not really known to be to have a good defensive scheme.
Mm-hmm.
He is decent, but not in the same level as a Thibodeau.
Okay, you know what? I just did a Google search, and Google results here. Jeff Van Gundy has been contacted, but this is like 2013. Has been contacted by the Brooklyn Nets as part of their da 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 da. He was a more defensive-minded coach than anything. Hollins has a better reputation. Van Gundy has a
there
better
we go.
reputation than D'Antoni
Really?
as a defensive-minded coach. Van Gundy's defensive principles. Van Gundy has a reputation of being a hard-nosed, defensive-minded coach.
Yeah, if you look at the
Really?
Knicks
What are you talking
when he was
about?
coaching, they were a pretty good defensive team. I mean, from what I remember, I don't know about the stats, but they were a pretty good defensive
Well,
team.
back then, you see, back in the 90s, we didn't have this advanced stats, all this analytics nonsense.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why Van Gundy's an
Doing a Google search
offensive coach.
now.
Oh, go, do it. I dare you.
But you know, I'm not a Laker fan, and you know that, Isaiah. But what I would like to see for the LA Lakers is to have a coach with a style that fits his personnel. And I don't think they had that last year and the year before with Mike Brown trying to do his Princeton offense. It didn't really match his personnel with
Yeah.
Steve Nash especially. And then you have D'Antoni trying to implement his shoot all the threes he wants
yeah.
or whatever offense he was trying to do with Pau Gasol. It didn't make sense to me. So I hope to see that whoever coach they get, the
Yeah,
style fits
that's another
his
reason
people.
why he was fired. Because one, I know D'Antoni believes in his system. I know Mike Brown believed in his Princeton offense would work. But you have to adapt to the players that you have.
Yes.
More than anything. That's
It's
what
a
being a good
players' league.
coach is. Because if you look at, let's say you look at Lakers highlights from 2009 to 2010, or or Bulls highlights from the 90s. They're all like, it's very rare that they ran triangle sets, in crunch time. You had Michael Jordan handling the ball. You had Kobe and Shaq making plays for themselves. It's rare that you stuck to that system, because imagine crunch time, late in games, the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan just drew up a basic triangle offense set. That wouldn't work. You have to know who your players are and be able to adapt to how they play, and that's why I agree with that. No matter who it is, they have, again, because the Lakers have no roster, but maybe hiring a coach would help them build that roster. But
Maybe, yeah.
yeah, I believe that he should be someone who knows his players well and execute the game plan to their strengths. That's why if you looked at the Lakers, not this season, but last season with Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, Kobe and Powell, the coach that was able to have the most success was not Mike Brown, not Mike D'Antoni, but it was Bernie Bickerstaff. He had a 4-1 record in the 5 games where he took over as interim, because his game plan was basically, we wanted to win the game and we're going to be playing to our strengths, and it worked. But but to force a system and just stick to it like without any consequence whatsoever is not the way to coach a team.
Yeah, I mean it's not a college league. It's a players' league.
Exactly.
The players determine how you should play, not the other way around.
Yeah, but I know it's good to have a game plan with all those sets and all that stuff. But when the going gets tough, you have to know what to do instinctively without thinking of a playbook or whatever. So, Juno, did you do that Google search?
Yeah.
What happened?
defensive
Forget
coach.
about it.
Forget about my
Oh,
argument. But knowing that I watched the Knicks during the 90s, I saw them as an offensive team. But yeah, he might have been
I don't know if
defensive.
you're watching a different Knicks
Yeah, I
team,
don't
but
know which Knicks
saw
team
them
you're
as
watching.
very defensive minded.
Exactly.
So do you want Jeff Van Gundy in the Lakers?
I wouldn't mind Jeff Van Gundy if he just hired a good offensive coordinator. Again,
How
it
about if
depends
how
who.
about if they make a crazy move, Mike Woodson?
Oh my gosh, if they hire Mike Woodson, I have given up all faith that I have in the Lakers front office.
I hope it's Jeff. I'm leaning towards Jeff Van Gundy.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Jeff Van Gundy.
I think it's a done deal.
Just get
Hopefully.
Bickerstaff.
Bickerstaff again. He's tailgating with Mike Brown in Cleveland, so I don't think he's coming back to the Lakers.
Mike D'Antoni, in my opinion, is a good assistant offensive coach. That's the thing I like with Mike D'Antoni. I think he fits well as an assistant rather than a head coach.
I don't think he'd want to be an assistant.
He wouldn't want to be an assistant coach, but because he has a system that works. It's proven in spurts, but then he doesn't have the ability to know how to manage player ego and personnel, all that stuff. So that's why I don't know. It's gonna be hard for him to get another NBA job in the near future. I think. Who knows? Maybe he might be hired by someone like the Warriors, but.
That was what I was thinking. What if the Warriors hire Mike D'Antoni?
It's a possibility.
That would be good. That would be really good.
Imagine morphing Steph Curry into.
I think they're gonna be very successful if they get Mike D'Antoni.
Average 30 and 15.
Can you imagine that?
I can actually imagine Mike D'Antoni coaching the Warriors, but
It
again,
would work better than last year.
yeah, because the Warriors aren't a traditional post-up team. David Lee isn't really a post-up center. You have David Lee rolling to the basket. He's gonna finish the play. Then you'll have Steph Curry, who's more physically imposing than Steve Nash. He can average 30 points, 15 assists under D'Antoni's system.
Golden State, make it happen.
Make it happen, Golden State. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're saying that.
Yeah, make it happen. Mike D'Antoni to Golden State. Perfect team. It's gonna be good for Golden State.
And lastly, 2 NBA awards were given out today. Well, not given out officially, but I think voting's done and it came out. Michael Carter-Williams is Rookie of the Year and Kevin Durant is MVP.
Kevin Durant, finally.
No surprise there, finally.
Six-man?
Six-man? Who was named six-man? Was it Jamal Crawford?
Jamal Crawford, yeah.
I don't agree with that at all. I think it should have gone to Taj Gibson.
I don't agree with the Rookie of the Year. I think it should have gone to Victor Oladipo.
The
I
same.
think Oladipo was more consistent as compared to
Well,
Michael
yeah,
Carter.
that's true. Consistent.
I don't know, and then I don't think you should be giving a player an award in a team that was obviously tanking.
Sixers were tanking.
But again, Kevin Durant is MVP, ending LeBron's reign.
Finally.
I know Durant definitely deserved the MVP, but how much of a factor did voter fatigue play into this decision?
It did. I don't think it would have been fair if they voted LeBron again, but with Durant, the thing is with Durant is that he played better this year as compared last year. He was more Jordan-like. He had Jordan-like stats, so that really contributed to it and made him superstar. It transcended him to a place wherein he was getting all this crazy stats, and that's the reason why he got MVP. If he can score the basket like the way he did, there's no reason for him not to get the MVP.
That's true.
I'm sorry. While you were saying that, I clicked on the Real GM link. I encourage both of you to do it right now. Go to Real GM, go to the article. It says Kevin Durant to be named MVP. And look at the first sentence.
Wait, let me
Go. Kevin Durant to be named MVP on RealGM.com. Go now.
Okay.
That would be according to sources. And oh, it will be named MVP. MVP.
Kevin Durant
Most
has been named
valuable player.
valuable.
Better get a screenshot before they change it.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta take pictures before they change it. Oh my gosh. You know, Real GM, step your game up. Come on. How ridiculous. Well, all right. That's it for this week. Anything else you'd like to add?
MVP podcast.
MVP, yeah.
1 hour to go. 1 hour to go till the first game 7.
I know. I don't know why the game was so early today. It's ridiculous.
Who are you
Oh,
seeing winning?
there's Sunday night baseball. That's why. That's why.
So what's the first game?
Obviously, it's gonna be Raptors Nets because they're in the East Coast.
So are you rooting for the Nets or the Raptors personally?
I want the Nets to win. Because I used to like
Same.
Darren Williams before. I don't know what my stance on him is now, but I want him to redeem himself somehow.
Somehow, some way, I hope
Yeah.
he turns out better as compared to
You're going for the Raptors?
previous. Me, I think the Raptors are gonna win. DeRozan has been amazing.
All depends on Darren Williams, how he's going to play.
If Darren Williams can control the tempo like he's supposed to, like he can, then
They should be dominating the Raptors. And that's
yeah.
how I see it. If
Yeah.
Darren Williams was the Utah Jazz Darren Williams, they would be dominating.
yeah, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he's kind of lackadaisical. He's like, oh look, I have all these players around me finally, but
Lazy.
yeah. But all right, Juno, where can the people find us online?
You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/thehalfcourtheave. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/halfcourtheave, and you can always visit our site, thehalfcourtheave.com. We are on iTunes, Spreaker, and TuneIn Radio. The Half Court Eve podcast, half court, 2 words, and you can also check out our fantasy section on our website, wherein for all those people who are playing Drive to the Finals on NBA.com, our resident fantasy expert Alfred is constantly sharing his day-to-day picks. So if you're after the car that the NBA is giving out as their prize,
They're
then
not giving out
do
a
check out.
car. Wait, they're not giving out a car. They're giving out $25,000 towards the purchase of a car on AutoTrader.com.
There you go.
They're not giving out a car. Juno, come on.
Well, I'm not there, so I didn't know. If I knew, then I would have. Like, but
Because you're not eligible.
no, not yet. But do check out the articles because it will really help you make the correct pick. I personally didn't look at it, and I picked Blake Griffin yesterday, and Clippers won, so I can no longer pick Blake Griffin. So do check out the articles and take Alfred's advice, and hopefully you can win and you can get that prize. And that's it.
By the way, that prize is only available to residents of the United States. So people outside the United States, you're not eligible.
Oh,
All right. By the way, happy Star Wars Day. May the Fourth be with you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I had to sneak that up in there. All right. With that, for Vico and Juno, episode 58 of the Half Court Heave podcast is in the books. See you guys.